Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, FSM 21.
Good afternoon po, sir.
So how are you guys? So one more, long weeks na lang. 3 more weeks after this, right? And it's already end of the semester. So how are you? You can chat in if you want to answer. Sir, okay lang kami. Um, hindi nga kami busy, sir, eh. So, give us some task more. Kala ko nanghihingi pa kayo ng task, eh. So by the way, class, sa Monday pala, nasa school ako sa PUP. So I'm giving an option. If you want face-to-face on Monday, we can arrange that. Or if not face-to-face, it would be asynchronous. Because, it's hard to conduct class when outside of the house. So you have options if you want face-to-face or asynchronous on Monday. So which is which? Magbotohan na lang kayo. Okay?
Yes po.
All right. So one moment. I'm just figuring out how to replace the virtual background. There we go. So because actually dapat nasa ano ko ngayon, sa Laguna for the co-ed planning, pero hindi ako sumama. So first day lang yung itatinan ko ng training. So how about your other classes today and tomorrow? Is it canceled or are you conducting synchronous from your major subjects? May klase ba kayo sa ibang mga subjects or asynchronous sila ngayon? Kasi majority of the co-ed faculty are in the team building in Laguna. Okay. So there. Let's just wait for a few moments. Okay, so let's start the discussion. So let me share my screen. So for today's topic, I will be talking about TBL, okay, or technology or tech-based learning. So that will be our points of discussion. And also methodologies and some tools for the TBL approach or the technology-based learning approach in education. So let me just pin, okay. So TBL or technology-based learning can be also known as tech-enhanced learning or simply digital learning. Okay, just simply integrating technology and its tools to educational processes to enhance the teaching and learning experiences and methods. So what are the benefits of TBL? First one is, of course, accessibility. Okay, anytime, anywhere, we can conduct classes. And instruction is much to the students' needs. Okay, so since very crucial yung mga meeting during TPL, only the relevant topics are being discussed. and timely course updates. So only the updated topics are being discussed, since the people who are inside the TBL are connected to the internet almost 24/7. So only the updated things are being discussed to the students. And relevant materials and resources are available always, okay, in the internet. Then global context of learning. So accessibility anytime and anywhere for the tech-based learning. Students can do your learning requirements any time of the day or even night. But I'm sure majority of you love working during night because of your circadian rhythm. Mga ganyang edad, mas prefer nyo to do things at night. Next is the type of learning is suited for working adults. So TBL or tech-based learning is very suited for people who are working, okay? And also for the students who have already or are already parents, and they have work schedules and unable to do the face-to-face session. Okay, so TBL is very much suited for that. So some students are workers who cannot leave their jobs to further their education. That's why TBL will comes in. So there are benefits of TBL to those who are working and have already a lot of responsibility. Next is the instruction is matched to students' needs. TBL courses can be delivered in such a way that they allow learners to move to your own pace. Okay, so if you have a discussion and you have a task, you are given enough time for you to complete the task. Okay, so even for as long as 2 hour, something that you can do in an hour, you are given 1 week to do that. Okay, and for that whole week, you can do it whenever you like. Next is this is also the case with PUP, Open University. We have the Open University in the Philippines. You know, class, that the Open University, and dalawa lang yung Open University sa buong Pilipinas. One is the UP, Open University, and the PUP. So sa buong Pilipinas, dalawa lang ang may Open University who offers the TBL or the tech-based learning. And it is self-paced learning where students can move on to the next module after a test with a certain percentage or score requirements, where it is given to the students, okay, of the Open University. Here, the timely course updates. So class, kindly raise your hand if once in your life, or when you were in high school or senior high school, probably you wish to continue a course that's related to ICT. Can someone raise their hand or anything computer related, ComSci, ICT? No one is raising their hands here. Okay, so Nova and Trina says their first choice is related to ICT or ComSci. So why timely course updates says that is one of the benefits of TBL. Consider a computer programming course offered in a tech-based learning environment. Okay, the course content initially focuses on the foundational programming concept, languages, and algorithm. However, to ensure the relevance and alignment with industrial trends, and course undergoes timely update to incorporate emerging programming language and frameworks. You know, I can say na blessings in disguise na hindi kayo napunta sa ICT related courses, because there is a big chance, okay, that everything you learn from the span of 4 years in your stay during your college, majority of what you learned there, once you graduate, will become obsolete. Okay, so just like, for example, class, chat in the chat, mag-chat kayo sa chat box kung ano yung mga programming language na alam niyo about, you know, programming language. So one example, of course, Visual Basic, Okay. Python, C++, C Sharp. So, yung mga programming languages na yon, suddenly that will become obsolete. The number one programming language right now is Python. But even Python cannot compete to one programming language that we all know, which is the English language. Yeah, I know it sounds like a joke, but it's true. You don't have to know all the coding techniques if you want to become, a programmer. All you need to know is the English language, because the programming landscape right now, it's all related to AI. You just need to describe what do you want to, what your app or interface will looks like. Okay, for example, you are tasked to program a three button. Okay, so three button. If you press the, let's say they have color. If you press the red, green, and blue, it will generate some numbers or some words or some colors, so something like that. Now, if you are going to program that using, very basic, Visual Basic, you need to code it. So you might spend around 3 hours coding that particular program. But the current programming language right now, you just need to describe what do you want to happen with the three button. Okay. So create a button where if I press it, it will generate a random um, feelings, words that describes the person. So something like that. So without you knowing anything about programming, you can create a very simple application. Okay, then you can program it just by describing what you want to happen. So ganun na yung programming language ngayon. Okay, so just imagine you studied Python, which is very difficult to master. Then suddenly, once you graduate, yung mga colleagues mo are not using it. They're just simply describing what they want to happen to that particular interface. So that's why TBL welcomes in, because that is a very updated, okay, mode of the delivery. Next is the relevant materials and resources are always available on the internet. Almost always, it's for free. Now, students' exploration of relevant materials and resources is a reform approach to instruction, and it's a feature of a TBL, because online resources are always there. If you can access your resources online, then that's a sign that it's a TBL or tech-based learning. Learners construct their own knowledge of the course contents through links or resources on the net, which are relevant to the topic being discussed. Okay, so as I mentioned before, during discussion, you can counter check what the instructor are talking about real time. Okay, to check if the a particular theory is still relevant or updated. So the relevant materials and resources are always available. Next, global context of learning. This changes educational scenario and systems more quickly and in a wider scope. Therefore, opens new opportunities for students to expand their learning in a global context. The reason, class, why we adjusted the school calendar. So instead of April, May, the vacation becomes August and September. You know the reason behind that? Anyone? You can chat in the chat box, or you can unmute to answer that. What do you think is the reason why we adjusted the school calendar in the Philippines? Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds to answer. Come on, class. Just give me a little interaction. Okay, wala. Okay, the reason is that first one is, sabi nila, is to maiwasan yung baha during June and July because that's the peak of rainy season in the Philippines. But actually, the real reason for that is para synchronize yung school calendar natin sa school calendar ng ibang bansa. Para if you are a exchange student, pareho yung calendar ng Pilipinas sa, let's say, Singapore, US, UK, Japan, Korea. That's one of the reasons why they adjusted our school calendar para maging global yung we are synchronized to the world. Okay. Also, the why I provided here the UPLB framework. In the UP Los Baños, pag nag-aral ka doon, majority of there are significant portion of professors who are foreigner. Okay. So mga visiting professors from other countries that are teaching in UPLB. Because especially for the science and technology. Kasi, di ba, UPLB, they are focusing mainly on research about rice, about agriculture, to become, number one in research about technology and research for agriculture. Then, yung mga number one people who are teaching that are visiting professors. So, that's what they are doing. Kaya, yung salary ng mga professor doon is minamatch na binibigay ng UPL. Okay, next is the increased retention. Okay, obviously, this is one of the benefits if you shift to TBL or tech-based learning, the students' retention will increase. Being studied provides strong learning reinforcement that significantly increases the content retention over time. Okay, not just the students' retention will increase, but also the content. Okay, so it's like, think of it this way, class. Parang ano yan, GCash. Okay, so isipin nyo na yung GCash is the content that you are learning. The more people who are using GCash, the more it will become superb. Okay, nagiging mas dumadami yung comparability niya. Okay, pwede mo na gamitin yung GCash sa mga vending machine sa Japan. Kasi nga, sobrang dami nang gumagamit ng GCash. So, compatible na siya sa halos lahat ng pwedeng services. Parang ano rin yan, parang in tech-based learning. If your approach is tech-based learning and most people who are using tech-based learning, ganun yung ginagamit nila, then what will happen is that it will become more superb. Okay, the content will evolve and evolve. Okay, sabi ni Jobelin, dahil tag-ulan sa panahon ng June and July. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. Now, ang kulit din ng balita kasi gusto naman ibalik sa dating setup kasi nga sobrang tag-init naman daw ng April and May na pumapasok yung mga bata. So wala talagang malugaran yung natin, educational system. Kapag August, September yung bakasyon, tag-init, kawawa yung mga bata during April, May. Kapag April, May naman yung bakasyon, kawawa yung mga bata. Pag June and July, kasi tag-ulan. So if that's the case, then piliin na lang natin yung bakasyon ng August, September. In that way, synchronize pa tayo sa buong mundo. Okay, then the chances of us having exchange students from different universities abroad will increase. Okay. Now, increased safety with interactive system, students can explore potentially dangerous subjects without any risk. So if you are doing the synchronous session like this, so there is no chance of your classmates burning your hair or just like para maging prank, di ba? Na-experience ba yung class during high school, your classmate, sinunog yung buhok ng katabi nyo? Wala lang, prank niya lang. Hindi niya na-realize na sobrang combustible ng buhok. Pag ganun mo ng lighter, sunog ka agad yun. Tapos mag-aamoy pa yun, sobrang baho nun sa loob ng classroom. So yung mga ganung instances, mawawala na yun during TBL or tech-based learning. So another example is the chemistry explosion, yun, or burns that will be reduced during the TBL. Okay, of course, there are downside to this. It's still very much suitable or dapat advisable na you do it face to face. But yun nga, if you come to think of it, may mga benefits din naman. Hindi masusunog yung balat mo, hindi ka malalason, di ba? So sodium chloride, nakakita mo dun sa label nung isang chemical sa loob ng chemistry room. So, sodium chloride. So siguro asin to. Check mo kung maalat, di ba? So yun, maalat nga. Pero buti di ka nalason. So yun, mga ganong instances mawawala during TBL, drugs, and sexually transmitted diseases, and pregnancy during TBL will lessen. Probably because if you come to think of it, other instances of viruses will be eliminated. So if you are using TBL, advanced technology, during your discussion, if you are a nursing student, instead of renting or buying cadaver, you know what's cadaver, class? Yung mga patay na tao, binibili ng mga nursing students. So instead of buying dead people, mga punerarya na walang nakiklaim, they're just gonna use simply augmented reality, di ba? Of dissecting human body. So that's a manifestation of TBL. Instead of using actual cadaver, then you are just simply using the augmented reality version of it, of dissecting human body for studying anatomy. Yan. That pala dito ko nilagay yung example dun sa pagsunog ng buhok. Reduce behavior problems. Interactive system focus on attention and increase individual involvement, thereby reducing the potential for misbehavior. Kaso nga lang malungkot, class, di ba? Pag na during discussion like this, we don't have any interaction. Wala akong cues. If you are listening, if you are smiling, if you are frowning, if you are uninterested, if you are anything, I don't have any clue what you are going through while I am discussing. But another advantage ng ganun is, di ba, sobrang behave kayo. I'll just talk here. If I want interaction from you, I can just simply ask or unmute your mic or chat in the chat box. So very behaved, very controlled. Nung walang mga behavior problems. So maybe maganda to during, if you are dealing with delinquent students, then TBL is really the right approach to them. Next is increase access, interactive system. Are we recording? Oh, yeah. Interactive system can provide greater and more equal access to quality instruction. So increase access, even as simple as your mobile phone, you can be able to join or conduct TBL. Interactive system can be used to simulate laboratory equipment that would be too expensive, to acquire. So there are simulation equipment that is categorized in the tech-based learning that you can use, that is very cost-effective, and anyone can do that compared to doing it the actual work. For example, class, if your course is agriculture, hindi ka makakagraduate ng agriculture pag hindi ka marunong mag-drive ng tractor. Alam niyo yung tractor? Yung parang truck sa, sa gitna ng palayan na nagpapatag ng plains. So since it's very expensive, if you're an agriculture student, you just simply simulate, okay? Sa simulation ka matututo mag-drive. Next is the challenges of TBL. Of course, there are challenges in this type of approach in education. First one is the digital divide, attrition, access for differently abled people, lack of monitoring, development cost, and lack of credibility. So let's talk about the digital divide. What's this digital divide? It says here that significant portion of our population still does not have access to computers or the internet. So which affects the implementation of PBL. Of course, if majority of students are, don't have internet connection or pang-load sa internet, then that might be a problem for implementing it. Now, if you come to think of it, less, let's say some students cannot attend online class synchronous. So synchronous class like this is an example of PBL because they don't have um, internet connection or they don't have money to mga walang internet sa bahay. So syempre naglo-load sila for a day. So maybe 50 pesos, then it'll be enough for the whole day of online class. Or if they don't have, let's say 50 pesos to load for a day, then that might be one of the things that, that will divide them to the rest of the class. So isipin mo na lang ganito, class. Yung load mo, parang yun yung pamasahe mo papunta sa school. Di ba dati naman, nung during face-to-face, pag kailangan pumunta ng school, so syempre, kailangan mo pa rin ng pamasahe. So instead of pamasahe, yun, napunta na sa load. So ganun lang yun. Hindi ka makapasok kasi wala kang pamasahe. Ngayon naman, hindi ka makapasok kasi wala kang load. So that is one of the digital divide. One moment. Okay, next is there is also a need to address the digital divide that results. The difference between some teachers cannot deliver by other teachers teaching the same subject. So this is very relevant or apparent if the two instructors, so let's say two instructors are teaching the same subject. So let's say introduction to educational technology. Now the other instructor is, let's say, a millennial, okay, a Gen Y. Then the other instructor or professor is from the baby boomer era. So what will happen is they will be teaching same subject, same course in a very different approach. That's also another example of digital divide. Not just simply for the students or for the circumstances, but also for the teacher itself. Okay, they are teaching their methodologies, their approach in technology is very different. So maybe yung baby boomer na instructor in your introduction to educational technology is teaching you about OHP or overhead projector, which is maybe we can say that it was like their projector during their time. But right now, no Gen Z ever seen or used the OHP. Okay, hindi nyo pa nakikita yung OHP, hindi nyo alam kung ano yun eh. That's an overhead projector na piprint nyo sa acetate, yung papakita nyo ipoproject nyo sa harap. So 1 page, 10 pesos. Just imagine if you are conducting your reporting using OHP overhead projector, then magpaprint kayo ng acetate, 10 pesos per slide. So that's an example of how to use the OHP overhead projector. Tapos yung millennial na teacher nyo naman, ang tinuturo sa inyo is augmented reality. So see the difference from OHP to augmented reality. That's another example of digital divide. Even teachers cannot, synchronously teach the same subject at with the same delivery. Next, with the help of the government, here's another layer for the digital divide, the infrastructure, the government support, okay? So more infrastructure on telecommunication built in rural places in the Philippines and better instruction materials are prepared. So First is the students, next is the teacher, next is the government. Okay, so there are a lot of divide and technology. So here, infrastructure, of course. So let's say nakatira ka sa Mindoro. Okay, nag-online class ka. So in Mindoro, I think there madalas yung brownout sa kanila, di ba? Nababalita naman. Probably in one day, they only have around 4 hours of electricity time based on the news before. So just imagine if you are conducting TBL you have students in Mindoro and they only have electricity for 4 hours a day. So that's really difficult. Ano pa nga yun, malapit pa yun sa NCR. What more yung mga nasa Sulu, okay, Tawi-Tawi, extreme south area of the Philippines. So implementing TBL is really difficult in that cases. Next is the attrition rates. So attrition, meaning the chances of you being gone in the program. So records indicates that dropout rate among students in TBL or synchronous session like this is far higher than in face-to-face learning. Okay? Face-to-face learning kasi, magpakita ka lang, just show up, matatapos mo yun. Here in TBL, kahit even though you show up, you cannot show up because you don't have access to anything. So in face-to-face, kahit wala kang kahit anong gadget, you can finish your study. Okay? But here it's really difficult in TBL. Next is the implementation of schools are not implemented well. Students lack of the technical skills needed and students lack efforts to fulfill requirements. So there are really instances that, without interaction to your peers for an extended period of time, then there are instances or tendencies na you lose motivation kasi wala kang tangible comparison to your peers. What are they doing? Okay, so maybe that will be an impact to the attrition rates. Class, yung attrition rates, lagi niyong maririnig yan, especially kapag nag-work kayo sa BPO world. Kasi sa BPO world, mataas yung attrition. Pag yung isang company, BPO company, na mataas yung attrition rates, ibig sabihin, it's not a very good company because, employees there are cannot stay, okay, for an extended period of time. So maybe 6 months lang sila doon or 2 months after training, attrition na kagad sila. Yan. So lagi nyo maririnig yung word na attrition pag nag-work kayo sa BPO world. So i-survey nyo, tanong nyo yung mga agent, mataas pa yung attrition rate sa Concentrix, sa Converges, sa AFNI. So yun, tanong nyo. Pag mataas, ibig sabihin, mahirap yung work doon, yung account i-handle. Next is here, very controversial, access for differently abled people. Did you know, class, that based on statistics, 1 out of 50 students is colorblind. So mayroon ba ditong legally colorblind? That's true, class. Kaya kapag naging teacher kayo, kaya magpapa multiple choice na based sa color yung exam na ibibigay nyo. Okay? Shade the color red or blue. Kasi in one classroom, in one section, there is around 70 to 80% chance na meron doon isang colorblind. So, what more kapag in-implement natin yung TBL? Okay? Implementation of TBL. Are admitted to TBL courses, the institution should be able to provide technology that will assist the differently abled people. This implies design standards that will help students with vision or audio impairments so they can read and hear computer-based text and collaboration. If you are blind, then you are conducting online classes. So it's very difficult for you to do that. And we don't have a program just yet on how we'll be able to implement synchronous session to our differently abled students. Okay. So that's one of the disadvantages of implementing TBL. Next is a lack of monitoring. Okay. Learners do not maximize their effort when they perceive that they are not being monitored. This could be remedied if schools will require guidelines, deadlines for requirements, or they contribute ideas on group discussion on boards that has a timestamp. Kaya yung mga sa Google Form class, di ba, I provided you some deadlines. So for example, the deadlines I provided you is 9 p.m. of June 30, 9 p.m. Ha? Pero may nakikita akong sa timestamp na nag-submit na umabot na ng July 3. That's 3 days past the deadline. So therefore, that is strictly not allowed kasi, you know, that's one form of monitoring. I'm not doing it to be, you know, to not give a chance to other students, but to be fair to other students who submitted on time. Okay. So those, because that's another manifestation of monitoring. Next is the timestamp is very effective, but this is also a double-edged sword in a Y class because some students don't like to be monitored, so they excel when they are not being monitored. Okay, there are some students naman na if you don't monitor them, okay, it'll be very hard for them to do the actual task. So yun, another issues in tech-based learning is the lack of monitoring. And next is the development cost. So there is a high investment in technology. Some schools prepare the best infrastructure and multimedia technology to implement PBL courses and materials, and they just realize that a very few students will enroll in that particular courses. So for example, yung LaSalle, di ba, nag-ano sila lang yung only university in the Philippines that are offering Bachelor of Science in game development. So out of all the universities, so they created a building dedicated to programming, BSIT, major in programming, game programming. I think the building, yung building ni Henry C. sa LaSalle, yung Henry C. building, yun yung building na ng mga game development students, okay, game programming students dun sa LaSalle. What if they invested millions of pesos, if not billions, umabot pa ng billions yun. Then they realize that, you know, it's inaccessible to majority of the Filipino students. So it is not worth it on their end. But I'm sure what they are doing there is very much sustainable. Kasi they are actually actively seeking partnership to game development company. So the last time I heard is that Ubisoft, if you're familiar with the game programming game company, developer Ubisoft, they have partnership with LaSalle, you know, to actually guide students during their stay in that particular course. So yun, the development cost is very expensive. Next is a lack of credibility. Okay, this is another controversial. This is one elephant in the room that we need to address, that TBL or synchronous type of education does not have the same credibility as the traditional degree program. Okay, so synchronous is really temporary right now solution to the problem. na-realize ko nga within the next few months na lang, almost 4 years na palang online ko sa PUP. Kasi nagsimula yun, So 3.5 years na palang online sa PUP. So there are, within the next few months, may first year students na nag-enroll ng 2020 na pag hindi pa rin tayo nag-face-to-face 100%, parang all their life, all of their college life are spent during, synchronous session. So what will happen, especially if you are a teacher, di ba? Hindi nga okay nga lang yung teacher kasi you can still cope up with that. But what if you are a pilot or a seaman, di ba? That I don't think any company will hire you if you are kung seaman ka tapos puro online class. Siyempre lulubog yung barko. The boat will sink, literally and figuratively speaking. So, yung credibility ng online class is hindi pa rin ganun kataas compare sa face-to-face. Yun yung another disadvantages. Next is, even industries, companies, and institutions prefer graduates. Okay? Prefer pa rin nila yung graduates from traditional institution or face-to-face type of approach. So there is still a stigma of poor quality and susceptibility to cheating in TBL courses than the classroom-based teaching and learning. So, ewan ko, parang matagal pang mawawala yung judgment natin na kapag face-to-face, poor quality. Parang ano yan, yung face-to-face, para siyang naging, so let's say, compare natin yung sa Made in China, di ba? Pag narinig natin yung Made in China, iniisip kagad natin na poor quality. Okay? And pag sinabi namang face-to-face, buong buhay mo, parang face-to-face ka buong college life mo, parang yun din, Made in China, poor quality. But you don't realize na yung Made in China, sobrang matibay naman yung mga Made in China. Okay? So lahat ng nga ng iPhone, di ba? Made in China. Even a lot of Android phones are made in China. So yun, I can say na face-to-face is effective, okay, in a way, but face-to-face is still more effective. Okay, that's why we are implementing synchronous like this because of really the pandemic. But if you come to think of it, it's face-to-face talaga is the way to go. But it's good to know that there are tech-based learning or synchronous session like this, so we can still continue. Next is methodologies and tools for tech-based learning. Transform education in a myriad of ways or a lot of ways. Some teachers do not have the necessary training in the use of IT. That poses a problem in the implementation of the TBL process. So an example of this is if you are, very few, faculty or can handle ICT courses especially in, let's say, in college for education. So they are majoring in office, productivity type of tools, secretariat sila na train. Then suddenly ICT na yung in ngayon. Then pag master na nila yung ICT, they realize na AI na pala yung trends ngayon. So lagi silang nahuhuli. Okay? Once na master na nila yung isang bagay, may isa na namang bagay na susulpot na kailangan mo ulit ma-master. And so on and so forth. Na kapag hindi mo ginawa mo, magiging obsolete ka. Okay, next is here the word processing skills, the basics. Should be able to format reports they ask their students to produce. Okay. Ano to? Ano yun? practice what you preach. Okay, but you cannot teach your students what you don't know just yet. Beyond that, they should also be able to produce attractive class materials such as handouts and notes. So this is additional skills for teachers who are teaching, okay, uh, ICT courses or tech-based TBL courses, that they also have at least the basic skills in presentation, okay, in presenting their lesson. Okay, so of course, if you are delivering TBL, you should be able to very well navigate PowerPoint presentation and other presentation application, and information literacy skills. So students should be encouraged to use the internet for research and making use of secondary resources. So literacy skills. So yung mga different fluencies, collaboration, okay? You're being adept in technology is sometimes you need to have that. I know majority of the time you need to master or show your fluencies in technology so that you can become an effective instructor or teacher of TBL. Okay, next is the modification of instructional delivery. You should use the technology that most effectively engages students and meet the curricular goals. They should obtain the resources and exchange ideas online with other teachers. So yun nga, so to lessen the instances of digital divide, each teacher should collaborate their co-teacher so that they can be able to be calibrated, or they are on the same level of understanding of certain topic. If you don't talk to other teachers, other colleagues, you might be surprised on what they are doing that you are not doing, and vice versa. That's why collaboration with other teachers is important if you want to master TBL. And did you know, class, that part of the code of ethics for teacher is that if your colleagues, co-teacher, approach you for opportunity to collaborate, then tinanggihan mo yung teacher na yon, that's actually against the code of ethics for professional teacher. Kasi if you are a teacher, it's given, it's mandatory that if someone wants to collaborate with other teacher, you need to grant the request of collaborating with you. Okay, professional growth and collaboration, internet to grow professionally. They can take classes online or collaborate with other teachers so that you can grow as a professional in the field. So here are the delivery methods in the TBL. First is the tutorial. So it's a self-paced course delivered online, or it can be offline. So if you have a tutorial, one-on-one tutorial, you can do that in a synchronous manner, di ba? Or if you want to do it offline, pwede din, as long as you have the files. Probably your teacher will give you the files, the video files, the lesson, or even audiobooks that you need to study. And it may contain video or audio and may include assessment methods such as written assignments and quizzes. So that is another way of implementing tool for the TBL, the tutorial. It's like the digital version of tutorial when you were a kid. Bakit parang sobra tayo? Okay, so that is tutorial. Next is another tool to be used in the TBL, tech-based learning type of approach, is the LMS. I'm sure we're familiar with the learning management system. So your students enroll to that and delivers course contents and show the assessment. So some learning management system adopt the interface of a social media platform so that they can be able to, students who are very much familiar in using social media platform are also familiar in using the LMS because they follow the user interface of social media platform LMS. Here, just like we discussed before, another tool in implementing TBL is using gamification or gaming elements. So that the engagement will increase and will have a quantifiable outcome, and both games play in the learning objectives. So just like I mentioned, the general features are the end goals and rules of play. So it has a sensory appeal and motivational elements, competition, cooperation, challenge, and fantasy. So those are the tools inside the TBL. We have tutorial, LMS, gaming. Next is the web conferencing, or we can say that this is the synchronous session, okay? The virtual classroom. Course contents are usually displayed in the website, or I know it's web conferencing. So based here, they are using the website. That's why with the word web conferencing. Interaction among students is done with a facilitator. Other more advanced web conferencing does live chats and interaction among participants using from different places in. So this is, we can say that this is a webinar, okay, type of approach. So webinar is of course website, web, World Wide Web, and a seminar. That's why we have webinar. So naumay ba kayo sa webinar during pandemic? Kasi kami mga teacher, almost every week, meron kaming webinar na ina-attend. And the retention, though, I can say na retention during webinar, kapag walang interaction, is very, mababa yung interaction during webinar, is the retention will suffer. Next is the online forum, okay? E-group, news group, bulletin board, discussion group. Student must regularly visit the e-group website or online location to check the posting messages, discussion either with classmates or teacher. So there are a moderators, usually the teacher or anyone from the class, and that moderates the forum or discussion, or someone that is expert in the particular field. So during my masteral days, this is one of the tools that we use. So Yahoo groups pa yung uso nun. So our professor will post questions there and we will answer it. And of course, there is also a timestamp on when did we answer that particular question. Online groups, and you can reply to each of the discussion that is being posted there to your classmates, so that it will really foster a sense of exchanging ideas through online forums. Para siyang brainstorming, but ano lang siya, hindi pala storming yan, ano lang siya, brain drizzle, ambon lang ng brainstorming. Next is the simulation. So this allows the learner to to model or role play an educational scenario. So we are familiar with the simulation, a different simplified representation of real situation, phenomenon, or process. It provides the opportunity for students to apply knowledge in a realistic format, but without the time, expense, or risk associated with the real thing. So simulation, example of this is, of course, let's say driving simulation. If you are, meron kayong course na yung electives nyo is about, mechanical, what they call that, about so may electives na about driving, diba? Na you need to drive an actual car, but you are using the simulation. But the problem is, of course, the facilities where you can conduct their simulation. So that's why we need to improvise a bit. So for example, there are simulation where you can may mga instances na yung simulation is through screen mo lang makikita. For example, nag-opera ka, di ba? Or operating someone, then you are just using simulation. So walang risk of killing the person that you are operating. I'm sure you know what I mean. That's the benefits of simulation. So meron tayong tutorial, LMS, gaming, web conferencing or webinar. We have online forums. Now we have simulation. Okay. So nakakapito na tayo. 7 tools in the tech-based learning or TBL. Now also you can use the type of tool, the blogs in TBL. So anything that has use computers naman or can view online is considered TBL. Okay. So web-based learning journals, which are a part of a larger personal department or institutional website, contributors can post contribution like reaction, replies, or ideas. So blogs. By the way, blogs is, it evolves from the word web and log. When you log in, log out, logs. Then web, you just use the letter B from web to, so you have blogs. So you can also use that to engage to your students. So you ask them to create a certain blogs, or some students can reply. Parang ano lang din yan, in a more, so we have online forums where the facilitator is most likely the teacher or the expert in the field. But for blogs, you are the actual facilitator. Okay? You manage the reaction, the comments of your colleagues about certain topics. So just simply you post an online article. It's just an article online. That's the blogs. So walo na yung nag-discuss natin about the TBL, the tools in the tech-based learning. Now, so yun, walo lang talaga yung i-discuss natin about the tools in the TBL. Now we'll talk about the delivery modes for the tech-based learning. So we're very much familiar with this because we've been doing this for 3.5 years already. First is the synchronous. This is just our review class. I'm sure familiar na kayo dito. When teacher and students meet online via internet or a link, Zoom link. Conferencing or lecture broadcasting, the example of synchronous learning setup. In most setups, the video images of the teacher is seen by the students. But I cannot see your images. Next is asynchronous. Learners use at their own pace. Google Forms, so it's up to you. Something that you can do in 30 minutes, you are given 7 days to complete. So whether you do it kahit saan nyo gawin, kahit sa bubong nyo gawin, kung doon yung may signal, it's based on your own pace. So bulletin boards can post assignment, reading links. Your teacher can ask you to watch certain video and provide comments to that. That is asynchronous. Class before, during the nung mismong 2020, alam niyo ba kung paano ako nagko-conduct ng synchronous class? nagla-live ako sa YouTube, YouTube live. Kasi wala pa kaming Zoom noon eh. Nagkaroon na kami ng free Zoom account noong 2021 and 2022. Noong 2020 talaga, wala kaming Zoom. Then, pag nag-subscribe ka naman sa Zoom, it's 800 pesos per month. So, it's expensive. Kaya, I realized that I can do synchronous class naman if you do the live. Nag-live ka sa isang platform, yun nga, Facebook. YouTube. Pwede rin sa Facebook, pero YouTube yung pinili ko. Though may delay. So, para ka lang nagla-live stream ng laro, pero nagtuturo. Pero may delay ng mga 3 seconds. Pag nagtanong ka, 3 seconds muna bago mo pop up din sa mismong screen. So yun, that's still a synchronous example of the delivery mode. So, but what do you prefer, class? Synchronous or asynchronous? And chat in your answers just for us to have a little interaction. What do you prefer the most? Face-to-face, synchronous, or asynchronous? They don't prefer anything. Anyone? You can chat in. What do you prefer? Face-to-face daw, sabi ni Eunice. Face-to-face and asynchronous. Okay. So ano na? Gusto niyo face-to-face sa Monday or... Pero class, heads up lang pag nag-face-to-face tayo sa Monday, maghanap tayo ng classroom. Wala pa tayong classroom sa Monday. So, probably 1:30 tayo mag-start, diba? Mga 1, nandun na kayo. So, hanap tayo ng bakanteng classroom. Then, baka paalisin tayo. Magkaklase po kami dito. Alis tayo. So, baka walang ilaw. But, pwede naman natin yan. I-check. Okay, so some likes synchronous. Ano yung mga type of approach? Class dati, nung student ako, pinag-aaralan namin yung synchronous at asynchronous. Wala kaming idea na pagka-graduate pala namin, pag naging teacher kami, ito yung dalawang word na palagi namin may encounter. Kasi nung student ako sa EdTech namin, si Ma'am Soto yung prof ko nun. Pinag-uusapan namin yung synchronous and asynchronous, kung paano i-deliver yung synchronous and asynchronous. Sabi namin, ba't nang nag-aaral? Wala namang chance na mangyari. Tapos nung nakaka-graduate kami, yun na yung lagi namin naririnig. Lagi nating naririnig, synchronous and asynchronous. Then, there is delivery mode and type of approach. This is the teacher-centered type of approach in the TBL. Teacher-centered is asynchronous. Asynchronous, di ba? Ang hirap. Employs asynchronous, pero hindi asynchronous. Asynchronous application with the lecturer or teacher as the center, just like what I'm doing right now. This implies that the pre-recorded lectures or narrated tutorials are delivered online. The students view or listen to the lecture. Okay? So possible na teacher-centered pa rin, kahit hindi synchronous, pero yung recorded version ito, pinakikinggan nyo, basta nakikinig lang kayo sa teacher, that is a teacher-centered type of approach. Which is the retention is very, it's not that high. Okay, next is the content-centered type of approach in the TBL. So here in a TBL environment, the content-centered mode employs a learning system that runs from a CD-ROM or anything, a flash drive, okay, or a Google Drive link where you can access through the internet. So example of this are in OUS or Open University System or online courses offered in school of Open University on certain topics such as labor laws, project management, feasibility studies, and paradigm shift, etc. So yun yung content-centered. Pwede natin sabihin na ang example ng content-centered is yung ginawa natin dati, yung correspondence. Okay? Type of approach, yung mga walang internet talaga, walang access. So we provided them pool, ano nga yun eh, hindi siya TBL actually. Kasi hard copy ng mga lesson yung binigyan natin sa kanya. Pero if you are going to convert that in a flash drive, kung flash drive, USB flash drive yung binigay natin sa mga students, so that's considered a content-centered type of PBL. Okay? Because they can just simply extract that. So, saan ba nila extract yun? May-extract nila yun sa hangin. Kailangan pa rin nila ng technology to extract that certain type of files. Next is the learner-centered or the student-centered type of delivery, where the learners is free to decide and achieve his objective based on his own interest and need as a learner. So learner-centered mode is considered better than teacher-centered. So can you imagine that? Mas better pa pala yung student-centered or learner-centered than the teacher-centered or even content-centered mode of delivery. So maintaining the students learn best under at an atmosphere of open learning environment where they build their own knowledge and actively participate and construct their own understanding about the topic. Okay, this is very relevant, apparent during our midterm activity. So that's an example of a learner-centered. The students become the center of the activity. Then what happened? It is very successful because you work in an atmosphere of open learning environment. So I provided you the topics. Here are the framework or the pattern you need to follow. It's up to you to discuss as long as it's related to technology. And you are actively participated, so you deliver it. That's one way of participation in that learner-centered type of approach. And construct your own understanding about the topic. And lastly, we have a type of blended learning. So also known as the integrated learning is a mixed mode of delivery that combines the elements of online and face-to-face learning delivery. So basically, this is what we are doing. Okay, we are combining synchronous, asynchronous, and face-to-face. So what we are doing right now is blended type of learning. Pero during our college days, 100%, face-to-face. There's no such thing as synchronous session during our time. Okay, so do you have any questions, class? That will be the end of the slide. So have you decided if you are going to do face-to-face? I'll give you the copy of this discussion. I'll post it in the GC in a PDF format. So our next topic, we're done with the TBL. So the next topic naman natin is the PBL or the problem-based learning. Here it's tech-based learning, but next topic will be problem-based learning. That we'll be discussing next meeting. Okay, no more questions. So if you don't have any more questions, si Luke, excited na yan, pumunta sa Lagoon. Nasa Lagoon ka ba ngayon, Luke?
Wala po, sir.
Okay, so kindly open your webcam and let's take a class picture. So yung mga, bibisitahin ko rin pala sa Monday, yung mga estudyante ko na nag-OJT sa Lagoon. So nakapalibot yun sila doon. From bar the burger to nagtitinda ng lemonade dun sa dulo. Lahat yan, mga estudyante ko nagbabantay doon. Mga kabatch nyo yan, approach nyo rin kahit pa paano. And pati sa canteen, yung pag may mga seminar, sila yung naghatid ng pagkain. Okay. Bibisitahin ko sila kasi kailangan na. Patapos na yung semester. Okay. So, kindly open your webcam. Yellen, Jana. 2 panels tayo ngayon. Mark, Moriel, Sheena, Shaina, Rain. Do you mind sharing your face to us, Marichu? Yan. Right. Todo na yan. Going once, going twice. Mariel, Rain, Nicole. Okay, todo na yan. First panel, smile. Okay. Copy. Paste sa GC. Okay. Next. Second panel. 1, 2, 3, and smile. Agad lang. Isa pa. Smile. Pulit. 1, 2, 3, and smile. Second panel. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that would be all for today's session. Goodbye, everyone. See you on Monday. If you
Thank
decide.
you po, sir.
Thank
po,
you, sir.
If you decide.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Nasweet naman
Bye.
nun.